So you got your new mountain bike, came in the mail, and you're about to head out to the trail because your kingdom is under control. Literally, your wife is like, get out there, go have fun with the guys. So you get the bike, you build it up, it's brand new, it's shiny, you're stoked. And now it's time to cash in on all the hard work you've done to, make space for mountain biking in your life. Now, here's what happens though. You go out to the trail, you're feeling great, you get halfway up the hill, and you notice that you're struggling while your friends are laughing. They look at you and go, all right, man, let's get up here. And you're like, it's not quite that easy in the back of your mind. And 3/4 through the day, after the lunch break, you thought maybe you'd have some more energy after some food, and you get to the jump section, all your buddies are sessioning it, and you know you can hit the jumps, but you have to go home early and you make up some lame excuse about how you can't ride anymore today. Look, I'm making this video for you because we're on a mission to help 1 million riders shred with confidence. This is actually a true story. It's how I used to be with my mountain bike fitness. And if you're watching this, you're an intermediate or beginner rider, and I'm just making a couple assumptions here. You have a nice bike, but you're not as good as the bike you ride because your fitness isn't as strong as it needs to be. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact sequence of what you need to focus on specifically if you are a dad, if you are a busy professional, or if you're just someone who's a weekend warrior, not a professional mountain biker. Now, some of the insights that I'm going to be giving you here are things that we've shared with thousands of athletes who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. And these athletes are doing this to the point where they actually look like they're 10, 20, 30 years younger than they are. And I'm not just talking about the appearance, I'm talking about what they can do with their body out on the trail. I'm David Davidson, I'm the co-founder of Mountain Bike Academy. Pointed to the wrong place. I'm the co-founder of Mountain Bike Academy, and this is what we do with people who are in a movement. We call it the mountain bike movement, and there are people doing these routines every day, and they're the ones beating you on the trail. And I'm not even specifically talking about racing here. I'm talking about they're able to have more fun. They're able to lean in to do the things that they want to do on an all-day ride. And this is important for you because your time is valuable. You've invested probably years of your life to get to this point. Here's the thing. There's these people called front tire Freddies. Front tire Freddy is someone who's got a great bike, no skill. It's someone who's got great hopes and dreams, but no way to achieve them. This is someone who gets their priorities wrong, and they look like a tool out on the trail because they don't put in the work to do the things that they need to do to be a great rider. Now, there's also someone, we're just going to call him Mountain Bike Mike. So these are the guys that no matter what they do, they can always ride harder. No matter what they come across on the trail, they can always rise up to that challenge. And I'm going to show you exactly how to be like a Mountain Bike Mike instead of someone who's a front tire Freddy, just crashing, having no energy, your legs are giving out on you. We're going to show you how to do that right now. So the first thing in the sequence of mountain bike fitness that you need to focus on, and here's the thing, you flat out been told wrong. Everyone's telling you to do intervals, everyone's telling you to do weightlifting, everyone's telling you to do stretching and yoga. None of these things will hurt you one bit. The truth is the first part of the sequence is you need to work on your mobility. And you need to work on the small muscles that support your frame. So what is mobility? Mobility is motion and strength combined. Mobility is motion and strength combined. So here's why I'm so qualified to talk about this with you. It's because for the first 25 to 6 years of my life, I had very poor mobility. Now, I have great flexibility because I was born to be able to do this. I was born to move like this. I have built-in natural flexibility. Now the problem is I had no strength throughout quite a bit of my range of motion. In other words, if I was going to do a bench press, I was one of the weakest guys on the football team because as soon as I moved my body a certain way, I just ran out of strength. Now, having a lack of mobility, it's just frustrating because you can do everything right. You can actually have great cardiovascular fitness. You can have great skill on the bike. But what happens if you have poor mobility is that when you go to corner, you're going to get locked up and stiff. When you go to do a descent, you're going to rely on your arms almost exclusively because you're passive and you're reactive because all of those, the mobile muscles, they're not doing their job. And guys, this is what actually gets me a bit upset is when I see riders out there who are stuck for 10, 20, or 30 years on a skill plateau and they keep practicing thinking that's going to help them. You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We've all heard that before. I think it was attributed to Albert Einstein. Who knows? So the fact of the matter is that if you have a problem with mobility, you're going to get stuck with your skill set. You're going to get stuck with your conditioning because no amount of conditioning can replace proper mobility. Okay? So mobility is the number one thing for riders over 30, 35 years old. Now, what if you're someone watching my channel? I know I got a handful of guys in, you're 18, you're 20, you're 25. Honestly, you're getting away with this. You may not be paying the price of having poor mobility. My suggestion would be go ahead and start a very simple mobility routine. Look, you can just Google it. Mobility routine for athletes. Or you can, go peruse my channel and you'll see some exercises on here too. But the fact of the matter is that if you're younger, you just kind of need to do some mobility work. It's not, you probably don't need some crazy custom plan that, helps you fix your body after a long time. Now for most of you who are 30, 40, 50, 60, and you've kind of had life get in the way a little bit, maybe some injuries, maybe you sit at a desk quite a bit, you need to do specifically hip mobility and thoracic spine mobility. Those are the number one and number two things. Hip mobility is very simple. It's just moving your hips throughout their entire range of motion. Here's an example of a hip car. It's a controlled articular rotation. This is the one I get a lot of feedback on the most because people say, wow, I thought my hips were strong. No, they're not. They're not. You're compensating using some of the wrong muscles. Now, the second one that you need to focus on as well with thoracic spine mobility is very simple. Just move the spine one joint at a time. That didn't mean for that to rhyme. Move the spine one joint at a time. So doing things like wall peels can help you a lot. And when you can move the spine one joint at a time, it allows you to have a better connection with your spine. It helps you build better neuromuscular function. And this just translates directly to good movement on the bike. So one thing that's really great too about having this as the basis is that all of the work you do on strength, on flexibility, on cardiovascular fitness, it's just going to be built on a solid foundation. So one thing I talked about in my last video was, look, you don't want to just go out and do weightlifting because you'll just end up putting a lot of strong muscles on a weak frame. Mobility allows you to have that strong supported frame. All right, so you guys feeling this so far? Just scroll down to the bottom, hit the subscribe button. This will give you more videos like this if you want to hit those big goals in 2024 and beyond. The second part of the sequence that you need to have dialed is the core. Now, it's very easy to talk about the core. What most guides and most resources won't tell you is that sit-ups are an absolute joke for mountain biking. Planks, pretty good, but sit-ups are a joke. So I just want to talk really quickly about kind of just bending the body and crunching the body. And when we do this motion, this motion, this motion, and this motion, that's typically what we think about when we think of core. The core has over 30 muscles, and the core is basically anything that attaches to your trunk. So the core is an interface tool. And this is the one where I see it affecting the riders on their technique the most, to the point where if someone can't do a horse stance hold, they can't corner. I've seen probably about a 95% correlation with the riders in my programs who they come in, we do a test with them on their movement, and they can't do a horse stance hold. We also notice that they literally cannot move like they need to move with cornering. It's very interesting. So what we want to do to avoid being that front tire Freddy who has the dreams but no skill is we need to have a connected core. And I talk a lot about the core on this channel. And in fact, I probably talk about it too much. But listen, if you're listening to me right now and you are a dad, I'm really hammering this one home. I scream about this from the rooftops. Western culture, the world we live in today, look, it's not entirely your fault. I gotta say, look, it's really, really, really extremely difficult to have a conditioned, activated core. And why? It's simply because the world asks us to do things that revolve around money. And think about this. America is literally this idea that's made up. We all believe we can hustle, we can go to work and live the American dream. It really all kind of comes down to money. And fact of the matter is that there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes we've got to go, look, I've got enough money and I need to cash some of that money in and turn it into joy. Maybe that means you take a little bit of time away, but a lot of times what this means is that we take a mindset. This is really important. Listen to this. You take a mindset that there's enough money. There's enough money. You've made enough. And maybe things are tight, but if you take the mindset of, you know what, it's enough and this other thing is important to me, you'll find that you can eliminate 30 minutes of scrolling on a phone every day. You can find that, hey, maybe you only worked 5 hours today and 3 of those hours were spent doing nothing. Oh my gosh, if you had 3 hours every single day and you only took a third of it to work on your core and like actually move, then think about how much better off you would be. Now, what I'm not saying is that we need to all become, it's a little unrealistic for all of us to become hyper-focused, marine level discipline overnight. So here's my suggestion for the core. Tomorrow when you wake up, instead of rolling out of bed and scrolling on your phone, roll out of your bed and do some planks. Even better, do some push-ups. Push-ups are an active core exercise that require us to really engage pretty much the entire trunk. That's not going to make you ready for downhill or anything like that, but it's a whole lot better than sitting there on your phone and scrolling. You get to begin the day not like a front tire Freddy. A front tire Freddy's going to show up on his day and he's going to scroll and check out bike parts and read the nearest pink bike thing and watch 4 hours of last year's downhill race recap and then look at his day and go, oh, it's 11 o'clock. I get to work. It's a reactive position. So the key here is we need to get ahead of the day. You need to get on a good habit sequence and just invite more movement in. Start with the core. Again, I know I said it's the second part of the sequence, but when you have mobility and you're strengthening the core, that honestly it's about 80% of what you need to do in order to be a great mountain biker. So once you've got this kind of a new approach or new way of approaching kind of your fitness and you realize, hey, I got to make money, I got to get out there and hustle, yeah, sure, but also fitness is important to me, you can find some time for this. It's really possible. All right, riders, so listen up. We also got to talk a little bit about the third part, which is conditioning. Now, I'm actually going to expect to get a little bit of hate here. This one is where a lot of mountain bikers really fail because there's two schools of thought. You've got the guys who are cross-country riders who go out and they do kind of a low intensity, maybe heart rate zone 2. They'll ride for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours and they just kind of spin and, nothing too intense. And that's a great way to build what's called base fitness. And then you also have guys out there who, they look like they pull their muscles off of their bones. They're doing weights. They're doing CrossFit. These guys are doing high intensity interval training every single day. And they're just all about smoking their muscles every single day. And the problem is nobody's wrong, but the problem is you don't have time to be really great at one or both of these if you're just like a dad and you want to race on the weekends and be really good at it. So what I've found is the single best thing you can do for your conditioning is lunges, walking lunges. Walking lunges, if you can't do 3 sets of 100 walking lunges without stopping, then you have insufficient fitness to be a real mountain biker in terms of enduro, downhill, or just aggressive trail riding. Again, if you can't do 100 walking lunges in a row with a 1-minute break, strict 1-minute break, without stopping 3 times in a row, then you do not have enough muscular endurance in your legs to be able to ride downhill, enduro, and all the cool stuff. So if you want to be a front tire Freddy and have arm pump and have your quads burning every single time you go out to ride and you're the one complaining that you got to go in before everybody else, just go do some lunges. They hurt. They really suck. I would also recommend not doing these more than maybe 2 times a week. 1 time a week is fine too. And it's just kind of silly to me how people work on all this like cardiovascular training, but they never just smoke their legs the right way. If you can do this though, it really does open up a lot of possibility for you to start do some real interval training. And quite frankly, interval training is highly specific to the person, what time of the season that you're in, And are you trying to do enduro? Are you trying to do downhill? Are you trying to do cross country? Are you a dirt jumper? Yeah, so my biggest recommendation, just simple things first, is if you can't do lunges, then do lunges. Do a lot of them. It'll crush you. You'll hate me. And put your comments in here. Put your comments in a week later. Come back to this video, save this video, come back later, and let me know how you guys feel after doing those lunges. You'll be a little winded. All right, yeah. Now, the final thing you want to do to make fitness easy for you, and to be the kind of rider that other guys are looking at, going like, "Hey man, like, how you feeling?" And you're just like able to talk to them on the way up on the climb. Now, in my opinion, one of the best status symbols in mountain biking is to be able to have a conversation on the ride up to the top of the hill. So like the last time I was at Ride Canuga, I was in pretty darn good shape, and I was talking to my riding buddies and just having a regular old conversation with them without, all the blood being in my legs, and I could think and I could listen to them. And I thought to myself, now, this is not so bad. I mean, all of the hard work that I put in is really worth it. And isn't it though, when you're going up to the top of the trail, and yeah, maybe you're a little tired, maybe, the kids kept you up too late at night, but you can talk to your friend on the way up without having to stop and go and look like the guy who just, ate 3 cheeseburgers right before the ride up. Like, it's so cool to be able to do that. And honestly, one of the best ways to do this is through regulation of your breathing. And regulation of breathing is something we can do it's basically an athletic thing. Okay. So if you guys are like how I started out with sports, by doing 22 years of video gaming. I was literally like the worst kind of desk person ever. I was a kid who chose to sit in front of a computer for 3, 4, 5 hours a day and play Roller Coaster Tycoon, which is awesome, instead of, being active and fit. And so what happened is when I went out to go be active and fit, I had a lot of stress responses to being athletic. And I remembered that I was always like the first guy to get tired in sprints. I would run out of energy really quickly when I was training in track, and it's no fun. So what you have to do if you are someone who maybe sits at a desk for a long time, or you tend to be very still during the day, then what you need to focus on is retraining how to breathe, okay? And so one of the keys here with breathing and your fitness, this is super simple. You just need to think about your body like a canister. So think about if you were to go into your pantry and get out a can of beans or corn or something, you've got a very strong cylinder that if you were to stand on top of that can, the can isn't going to break. And that's because the can is shaped a certain way. It's like a cylinder. And even if you put a little bit of weight on the side of the cylinder, you're going to be okay. But what you can do though, is you take a hammer and you tap a dent into the side of that can, and then you go jump on the can, it won't support your weight anymore. And so this canister concept is really, really helpful for combining everything we've talked about before. We've got mobility, so the right muscles are doing the right things. We've got the core that we've trained, and our legs are pumping under us. What we need to do now is be able to breathe while our core is engaged. And the single best way to practice this is putting your hands right here on the bottom ribs and just breathe in and expand everything. So the way we want to focus here is on expanding the ribs up and out all the way around, okay? Kind of like if you were to, so this is kind of like going to the beach. If you've ever seen a beach umbrella, how it expands up like this, it's the same concept here. We want to expand and fill our lungs up as big as we can. Another tip as well is when you're breathing in, we want to breathe in through the nose, even if it's difficult. And I'm right here with you. It's tight up here. This is okay. It's okay to have poor airflow through your nose. And the reason why is because every single one of the air sacs in your lungs actually expands a little bit more, and it's allowed to force more oxygen in and carbon dioxide out. So the second thing I want to talk about with regulated breathing is when we do get winded, because this is just a drill that we can do in the garage or while you're sitting around doing nothing. When we're out on the trail, we're working hard. It's kind of hard to think like that. So if you get winded, what you can practice doing is trying to take 2 to 3 big deep breaths in through the nose and then let the breath fall out naturally. Because what we tend to do when we're breathing hard is, and instead what we want to do is, part of the reason why this works so well is because it's actually a nervous system response that allows us to fill our lungs up a little bit more, and it allows us to regulate the breathing, and we invite more oxygen into the body. And it also allows us to exhale and get rid of the right things properly. A lot of times if we are riding, it's that feeling of burn is because we're not exhaling properly, and this can help with that as well. Just remember to scroll down to the bottom. You'll see links in the description for more videos like this one. Go ahead and watch those when you get a chance. Now, right now, if you're listening to this and you know you need to get fit, you want to do it in a community with me and the other riders around the world who are committed to high-level riding, I've got a very simple proposition for you. We have 49 spots left. Go ahead and click the link on the description down below to join right now. It is a monthly membership and will help you get fit, mobile, help you with breathing. Plus, I got some live coaching that goes down in that group every week. I'll see you there. Peace.